morning, TikTok. All right, we're back. Let's talk DPF issues today. So we've got a Land Rover, this thing, it should be 16, something like that, 17. Come into us, exhaust filter full warning on the dash, AdBlue warnings on the dash. Now with your DPF issues, you're always looking at issues with another system causing it. There's always a knock-on effect. Now what we found with this vehicle is that AdBlue faults have caused the DPF to block up. So as you can see, we're about 50 millibar at idle roughly. That is EGR closed because the MAF sensor's unplugged, so that is too high. And the AdBlue issues are what's caused it. So we had an incorrect tank level on this. I was able to put about 6 litres of AdBlue in it the other day, readapt and reset everything in the tank. That got the AdBlue warning out of there. I'm going to pull the NOx sensor out, pull the SCR injector out and give that a clean as well because they're very common to gum up. But first we are going to get this DPF cleaned down. So like I said, our pressures beforehand are about 50 millibar at idle. I'm just warming the car up now. It's first thing in the morning, so I like to do these when the vehicle's warm. So I'm going to shut it off in a minute. We're going to get our first step of clean sprayed in there, and then we're going to get the pressure out of this. Once the pressure's out of this, I can reset and readapt everything else. I'll give that SCR injector a bit of a clean, and then this thing should be back on the road doing its own natural regens. Right, now just while we spray all this in here, as I said before, DPF issues are always a knock-on of something else. You've always got a mechanical, electrical fault of some sort that's going to cause a DPF to block up. Now it's been harped on about by other people, and it's true. A lot of people get caught up. I've seen cars had DPFs replaced willy-nilly. We've had cars that have spent thousands of dollars on DPF cleaning, and that's not a solution to a fault. You know, the clean is right at the end of the process. You've got to fix whatever's causing it to not regen first. Once that's done, then you can get the pressures cleaned out if she's still in good nick. So there is a lot of ways to handle DPF issues. You know, it's up to the workshop, the customer that's doing it, but personally, and what we've always sort of carried out and recommended based on training and knowledge, is that you have to fix whatever's causing the underlying issue. Once that's done, then you can clean the DPF system as we are now. So the process with the JLM cleaner, which is what I'm using today, no affiliation whatsoever, it's just because it's what I've used for a couple of years and it's what I still got in stock, is a 15-minute soak first up, then I'm going to let the car idle for 5 minutes after that. So I've got the first stage in there, we're going to let this soak for 15 minutes and then we're going to idle it, get it warm for 5 minutes, and then we've got a rev holding procedure after that. Right, so we're doing our rev process now. Let it idle 5 minutes, then hold it at 12 to 1500, 15 minutes now. MAF sensor is unplugged to shut the EGR off, but a lot of these newer vehicles have a low and high pressure EGR. So you always have to, on newer vehicles, generally keep the revs quite low in comparison to some of the older stuff. You'll see people hold them at 3000. It's not a massive risk of, you know, hydrolocking, but the more pressure there is, the more chance that you're going to have back pressure push chemical back through the EGR system. So I generally hold about 12 to 1500 sort of thing on these, and I've never had an issue whatsoever. If we hold it at that point, do our 15 minutes and we'll do our next 2 steps of chemical, that is generally more than enough, and then a nice long road test, 25 minutes sort of thing after all the adaptions and resets have been done. All right, last rev procedure, about 2000 RPM, and that's the last dose of the flush. So you've got 1 stage of a clean and then 2 stages of flush, so that's going to go through now. Then what we'll do is we'll pull the clamp off the pressure pipe just to clean everything out of the pressure pipe before we put that back on the sensor. You don't want any chemical getting in the sensor. Once that's done, I can clean that SCR injector, redo all our adaptions. I'll road test it while it's still in limp mode for about 5-10 minutes just to make sure there's no cleaner in the exhaust. Alright, so DPF job on the Land Rover is all done. Now we'll show everyone what we ended up with on this. Just get rid of the customer's paperwork. So I've got no faults left in the vehicle, which is great. Clean bill of health after the clean, injector clean. So we start off with 50 millibar at idle. It's hard to see, but we end up at 7 millibar, which is perfect, all within spec. DPF temps are good, pressure sensors are reading good. Did a natural regen on road after resets as well. As you can see, my printer's on the way out, and that is pretty much it. So as I said, with any DPF issue, you have to rectify whatever your underlying issue is, whatever's causing it. In the case of that Discovery, it was AdBlue fault. So AdBlue fault's done, DPF clean, good to go.